Hello everyone, welcome to the first lecture of your next semester of corporate accounting subject company final accounts. Now, in the past 3 years of your study, 11th standard, 12th standard, first year BCom, you have been studying final accounts already. You studied how to make final accounts for a sole proprietorship firm, making trading account, profit and loss account, balance sheet. You studied how to make final accounts of a partnership firm, trading account, profit and loss appropriation account, partner's capital or current account, and balance sheet. Now we move one step ahead and understand how to make final accounts for a joint stock company. Okay, for a public joint stock company, private joint stock company. In this lecture, we are going to cover the formats of profit and loss statement and balance sheet in detail. All of you take out your notebooks, give the heading company final accounts, and whatever comes in this lecture, in the slides, each and everything you are supposed to write. I repeat, each and everything you are supposed to write. Also take out the study material of the same subject along with you. Let's start with it. First, we study the format of balance sheet as per Part 1 of Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. Now, a brief history of the formats I'll give you. Earlier, as per Companies Act 1956, the format of profit and loss and balance sheet was made in horizontal format, T format. T format means like you did in sole proprietorship and partnership firm, debit, credit side in P&L account and liabilities and asset side in balance sheet. So T format, we call it as horizontal format. Later on, there were changes made in Companies Act and the format from horizontal were changed to vertical. Okay, they were changed to vertical. However, profit and loss was at some point of time still made in horizontal format, balance sheet vertical. This was the changes done. Then after some years again changes were done and profit and loss also in vertical format, balance sheet also in vertical format. And finally the changes have been done in 2013. The new Companies Act has been passed in 2013. And now the format what we are going to study in vertical formats, they are as per Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. There are two parts in Schedule 3. Part 1 which discusses the format of balance sheet. Therefore you'll see here format of balance sheet we are discussing first. And then Part 2 of Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013 which discusses how to make profit and loss statement. So we will discuss profit and loss statement after the format of balance sheet. However, when we solve the practical questions, obviously first you have to make P&L statement, then you have to make balance sheet. But when we make the notes, we'll make the notes of balance sheet first, then P&L statement. I repeat, you'll be more clear once we obviously start with the questions. But when we solve the practical questions, first you'll have the format of P&L statement, then balance sheet. But when we make the notes, first you'll make the notes of balance sheet, then you'll make the notes of profit and loss statement. So first we study the format of balance sheet. All of you give the heading in your notebooks. Format of balance sheet as per Part 1 of Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. And I'm going to give you a trick to remember the format of balance sheet. Profit and loss statements trick we have already studied in the last semester. When I come across that format, I'll make you recollect what we studied already lastly. Okay. But balance sheets format, I'm going to give you a story, a trick to remember the format. So all of you be very attentive in this lecture and try to memorize the format in this lecture itself. First of all, balance sheet will have two sides. So all of you write on balance sheet will have two sides. One is equity and liabilities, the other is assets. Okay, what we used to write only liabilities, now we write it as equity and liabilities, or rather what we used to write as capital and liabilities in balance sheet, now we write them as equity and liabilities, and assets remain assets only. So two parts will be there in vertical format of balance sheet. Okay, first of all, it's not a horizontal format, it's vertical format. So in the upper part of the balance sheet, equity and liabilities will come, and in the lower part of the balance sheet, assets will be recorded. Okay, now understand this, equity and liabilities includes three things. Okay, equity and liabilities includes three things. All of you are supposed to write these in the notebook. The word equity means what? Equity is like the capital in sole proprietorship and partnership firm. So equity here, capital is provided by whom? Shareholders. So you remember equity and liabilities. Equity means shareholders funds. I repeat here, equity word means what? Shareholders funds. And liabilities are of two types. Since 11th standard chapter 1 we are studying short-term liability, long-term liability. Long-term means non-current liability, short-term means current liability. So two types of liabilities, non-current liabilities and current liabilities. These are the three main headings in equity and liabilities. Very, very simple. Equity means shareholders funds. Liabilities, non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Once again, equity, shareholders funds, liabilities, non-current liabilities and current liabilities. So three main headings will come in the first part of the balance sheet. Equity and liabilities, within that shareholders funds, non-current liabilities, current liabilities. And in assets there are only two types, okay, like liabilities two types, non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Assets two types, non-current assets and current assets. Okay, non-current assets and current assets. So two headings will come in assets. Like five main headings in the balance sheet. Initially you have to remember, all of you must write this chart in your notebook. Which five main headings? Equity and liabilities. Within that, shareholders. Equity means shareholders funds. Liabilities means non-current liabilities, current liabilities. Within assets, non-current assets and current assets. You can pause the video if you have not written it. We proceed further. Now we see the format of balance sheet in detail. So you will make these columns: particulars, note number, amount and amount. All of you make these columns in your notebook: particulars, note number, amount and amount. Okay, pause the video and make these columns fast. One more thing, everyone, listen carefully before you make this formats. You will require to write a story along with this format. So I'll suggest that you use 2 pages of your notebooks simultaneously. I repeat, I suggest that you use 2 pages of your notebook simultaneously. Meaning to say, you use something like this. You use 2 pages of your notebook simultaneously. Here you make the format and here you write the story. Against the format, you write the story to remember its sub items. Okay, so you make the format in this manner. Here format of balance sheet will come, and against each and every point of the balance sheet on the right side you'll write the corresponding part of the story. How, with the help of that story, you'll remember the content of format of balance sheet. So you make it in this manner, everyone. Okay. I hope you all are done with the formats. Now be attentive. Just now, as we already studied, that first heading will be equity and liabilities. Okay, there are two sides, equity and liabilities. Within equity and liabilities, what does equity stand for? Shareholders funds. All of you write down shareholders funds. Wherever required, you can pause the video and write down the things. Okay, so first heading will be shareholders funds. Now listen, everyone, will be making a story to understand the contents within these 5 headings. So within shareholders funds, which items are recorded, understand it with the help of a story, and all of you are supposed to write that story. Okay, these are very famous characters, you all must have seen them: Guddu Bhaiya and Munna Bhaiya. So Guddu and Munna, you remember the story with the help of these characters, entire characters of Mirzapur. Okay, Guddu and Munna. Munna and Guddu appeared in second year BCom exams, like you people. Okay, Munna and Guddu appeared in second year BCom exams. Now Munna failed. Guddu passed. So he became senior. Senior means what? Shortcut you'll remember, SR. You remember the story in your mind, solve initial 3-4 examples, recollecting the story which I discussed today, and after that you'll automatically remember the format. So it is just initially to give you a push, gear 1. Okay, just to give you a push to remember the formats. Once you solve 3-4 questions and every time you need not recite the story, then automatically you'll remember the formats. But yes, initially to remember the formats, you can take the help of this story. So Munna and Guddu appeared in second year BCom exams. Munna failed, Guddu passed. Because Guddu passed and Munna failed, Guddu became senior. Senior means what? Shortcut you remember, SR. So in shareholders funds, write down SR. S stands for share capital, R stands for reserves and surplus. You can pause the video and write down this story. So as I said to you that in your notebook, you all make that, use that 2 pages simultaneously. So what you can do is in that notebook, when you use the 2 pages simultaneously, here you write shareholders funds. Okay, and here you write shareholders funds, and in front of shareholders funds on the right side you write down this: Munna and Guddu appeared in second year BCom exams. Munna failed, Guddu passed, he became senior. So you remember that for shareholders funds on the right side, this is the part of the story which will give you the shortcut. Okay, so SR stands for share capital and reserves and surplus. Now listen carefully, few important things. Share capital, we will be writing all the types of share capital in detail. Authorized capital, issued capital, subscribed capital, called up capital, paid up capital. This is all we studied in second year BCom previous semester, the classification of share capital. Each and every capital will write in detail. Only called up and paid up capital will be included in the total of the balance sheet. Others won't be included. So authorized, issued, subscribed capital, we will double underline. When we make the notes, we will double underline authorized capital, issued capital, subscribed capital and called up capital. What is the purpose of double underlining those amounts? They are not to be included in the total. Listen carefully few items so that you understand which things will appear in that, so that when we solve the questions, you are able to identify which thing will come under which heading. Okay. So very first, share capital will include this all classifications: authorized, issued, subscribed, called up, paid up. Except called up and paid up, no other amount is to be included in the total. So all other amounts you will double underline. Further, calls in arrears you will minus in share capital. If there are any calls in arrears in the question, you'll minus in share capital. Wherever you feel, you can note down the things important. If you think you are not Gajani, you have very good memory, you don't have any short-term memory loss, then they are all logical things. You can just be attentive. But if you feel anything, you can write it down. So calls in arrears we will minus from share capital if there are any in the question. Share forfeiture we will add in share capital. Okay. Calls in arrears we will minus from share capital. Share forfeiture we will add in share capital. Disclosures will also come. Disclosures means extra information. So in share capital, what disclosures do we write? If you have issued any shares for consideration other than cash, you'll write that extra information in bracket. If you have issued any bonus shares, you'll write that information in bracket. Extra information given to the shareholders. They are called disclosures. Okay. So I repeat it once again. How will share capital's note be made? We have written that note number column. So note we will be making in detail separately, and here we will just write the final amount. So what all things we will be writing in detail in that notes of share capital? Authorized capital, issued capital, subscribed capital, called up capital, paid up capital. Paid up capital will be included in the total, other amounts double underline just for information purpose. Two disclosures will come: shares issued for consideration other than cash and bonus shares will come in bracket as extra information. If there are any calls in arrears, we will minus in share capital. If there is any share forfeiture, we will add in share capital. Okay. Now reserves and surplus will include all the kinds of reserves: general reserve, securities premium, capital reserve, capital redemption reserve, debenture redemption reserve. All the kinds of reserves will come in reserves and surplus, and profit and loss statements, final closing balance will also come in reserves and surplus. Here in reserves and surplus, the word surplus means what? The word surplus means the balance of P&L account which will be recorded over here. Okay, the word surplus means the balance of P&L account which will be recorded over here. Next, we discussed in the previous page, liabilities are of which two types? Non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Now, understand how will we record non-current liabilities. So let us continue with the story further. Now we have seen that Munna failed, Guddu passed, he became senior. So, sweetie, looking at the results of Munna and Guddu, sweetie said, lol. Munna failed, Guddu passed, lol. So LOL. How will you remember the non-current liabilities? Sweetie said, lol. LOL. L stands for long-term borrowings. O stands for other non-current liabilities. Again, L stands for long-term provisions. So second part of the story you write, okay, in front of that only in your notebook. Looking at the results of Guddu and Munna, sweetie said, lol. So LOL. L stands for long-term borrowings. O stands for other non-current liabilities. L stands for long-term provisions. Now remember, throughout the format, wherever O will come, I repeat, throughout the format, wherever O will come, O will stand for other. That's it. Other. So if it comes in non-current liability, other non-current liabilities. If O comes in current liabilities, other current liabilities. If O comes in non-current assets, other non-current assets. If O comes in current assets, other current assets. So wherever O comes in this format, what will O stand for? Other and the heading. Other and the respective heading. Now let us understand these contents also in detail, like share capital and reserves and surplus. Long-term borrowings will include all the amounts borrowed for long period of time, like debentures. You can write in bracket the example. Debentures, public deposits, bank loans, bonds. These all are money borrowed for long period of time. They all will come in long-term borrowings. Okay. I repeat, loans borrowed, debentures. Debentures are very important. They'll always come in long-term borrowings. Public deposits will come in long-term borrowings. Other non-current liabilities will include any amount which does not fall in A and C. Any amount which we have to pay after 1 year period of time and it does not fall in A and C will come as a part of other non-current liabilities. Okay. For example, premium on redemption of debentures. Write down in other non-current liabilities in bracket. Premium on redemption of debentures. We studied debentures chapter in the last semester. We already know from beginning that premium is to be paid when the debentures are to be redeemed, if debentures are redeemed at premium. So what is that premium on redemption of debentures? Other non-current liability. It cannot come in long-term borrowing. We have not borrowed the money. We have borrowed 100 rupees only, but this money is to be paid in addition when we redeem the debentures. Okay. So in other non-current liabilities, you can write the example in bracket. Premium on redemption of debentures. Now long-term provisions are those provisions which are made for long period of time, like gratuity fund, provident fund, pension fund, all the superannuation funds which you studied in income tax subject, which we have to give to the employees when they retire. They all are long-term provisions. So within long-term provisions also you can write the examples in bracket. What all will come in long-term provisions? Gratuity fund, pension fund, provident fund, and any other superannuation and retirement benefits which we are going to generally give to the employees are all long-term provisions. So I hope you all understand the technique to remember as well as the concept, what things are included in these headings. Okay. Once again, long-term borrowings will include debentures, public deposits, bank loans. Other non-current liabilities will include anything which cannot be included in A and C, means which cannot be included in long-term borrowings and provisions. Example, premium on redemption of debentures. Long-term provisions will include gratuity fund, pension fund, provident fund, and all other such retirement and superannuation benefits. So I hope all of you are clear with these two parts of the story. Very easy. Okay, remember Mirzapur characters. Guddu Munna appeared in exams. Munna failed. Guddu passed. He became senior. SR, share capital, reserves and surplus. Now looking at his results, Munna's girlfriend, Guddu's girlfriend, Sweetie said, lol, Munna failed. Guddu passed. So lol, LOL, long-term borrowings, other non-current liabilities, long-term provisions. Now going further, be attentive. Yes, going further, we remember that third heading was current liabilities. Now, Guddu passed. He became very confident that now I can do anything in my life. I have passed second year BCom, means I can do anything in my life. He decided to do CA, CS, CMA, professional courses. And he feels he can do any of the courses. He is genius, brilliant, super intelligent. Okay, so he feels he can do any of the courses. Now he is confused. Because he can do any of the courses, should he do CA or should he do CS or should he do CMA or should he do MBA? What should he do? So he said very simple. Okay, as such, you know Guddu, okay, of which caliber he is. So he decided with the help of a toss. He said, I can do any of the courses, I'll make a toss. Heads comes CA, tails comes CS. Head comes, I'll select CA, tails come, I'll select CS. So write down the next part of the story against current liabilities. Guddu decided to go in for professional courses. Confused between CA and CS, he did toss. Now TOSS, toss, but you remember that last S you bring in the beginning, shortcut you remember toss. Okay, he did toss, but you remember the shortcut as you bring the last letter S in the beginning. In the word toss, you bring last letter S in the beginning. So what is the shortcut? You will remember STOS. What does this STOS stand for? Okay, STOS, S, short-term borrowings. What did we have in non-current liability? Long-term borrowings, S, short-term borrowings. Then trade payables, T stands for trade payables. What did I tell you about O? What did I tell you about O? Anywhere O comes means other. So here, other current liabilities. And short-term provisions. What was the last item in LOL? Long-term provisions, short-term provisions. So two items are exact, three items are exactly similar. long-term borrowing, short-term borrowing, other non-current liability, other current liability, long-term provision, short-term provision. Only this new word is T. What does that T stand for? Trade payables. Okay. So these are the tricks to remember it. Now, in detail, short-term borrowings will include what all things? All of you write in bracket. Bank overdraft, cash credit. Write down in bracket, bank overdraft, cash credit are short-term borrowings. Trade payables will include what? Write in bracket, creditors and bills payable. Trade payables will include creditors and bills payable. Now, other current liabilities, write down in bracket, outstanding expense, pre-received incomes. Okay, outstanding expense, pre-received incomes, interest accrued and due. You can write these examples what I'm speaking in bracket and pause it wherever required. Interest accrued and due, dividend payables. All this will come in other current liabilities. And very important, and one more thing you'll remember for other current liabilities. You have seen that serial in past, क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी. Okay, you have seen that serial in past, क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी. So here you remember, क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी, क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. Write it in your notebooks. क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. I repeat, write it in your notebooks. क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. Now what does this mean? Understand it. Suppose debentures are borrowed for 5 years. Okay, debentures are borrowed for 5 years. See, if debentures are borrowed for 5 years, then in the first year it is a long-term liability, you have to pay the amount after 5 years. In the second year also long-term liability, you have to pay after 4 years, then after 3 years, then after 2 years. But in the last year, 5th year of payment, is debenture still a non-current liability or a current liability? Listen to my question carefully. If debentures are borrowed for a period of 5 years, for the first 4 years they are long-term liability because you have to pay after 1 year period of time. But in the last year of repayment, maturity date, maturity year, is debenture a non-current liability or current liability? Obviously current liability, because in the last year the money becomes due, so you have to pay in that year only. So in the last year, that debenture which appeared in long-term borrowing, in the last year of payment it will come in the C point, other current liabilities. So that's why I told you, क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. All the non-current liabilities in the last year of their payment, they come in other current liabilities. Okay, all the non-current liabilities means even that gratuity fund, pension fund, premium on redemptions, all the 3 items of LOL, when the last year of payment comes, all those items will come in other current liabilities. So other current liabilities will include all the items of non-current liabilities in the last year of payment. When last year's balance sheet we are making of the payment, at that time same things will come in current liabilities. So you all write this in your notebook, क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. Okay, so कभी वो non-current था, but now in the last year of payment, because you pay in the current year itself, it becomes current liability. So once again, other current liabilities will include what all things? Outstanding expense, pre-received incomes, unpaid dividends, interest accrued on debentures, loans, etc. And all the items of non-current liabilities in the last year of their payment, they will be included in other current liabilities. Short-term provisions, write down in bracket, proposed dividend, provision for tax, corporate dividend tax, right? There's also provision for corporate dividend tax. All the provisions which are made for short period of time and the money becomes due in the next year only will appear in short-term provisions. So short-term provisions will include generally provision for tax, proposed dividends and corporate dividend tax. Okay. Once again, shortcut you will remember STOS. 3 items are same: long-term borrowing, short-term borrowing, other non-current liability, other current liability. Long-term provision, short-term provision. T stands for trade payables. Short-term borrowings will include bank overdraft and cash credit. Trade payables will include creditors and bills payable. Other current liabilities will include outstanding expense, pre-received incomes. Then all the items of non-current liabilities in the last year of payment, they will be included in other current liabilities. And short-term provisions, provision for tax, proposed dividend, etc. So liabilities side is completely done. We'll have the total of liabilities. Let us recollect the story once again. Munna and Guddu appeared for SY/BCom exams. Munna failed, Guddu passed, he became senior. SR, share capital, reserves and surplus. Looking at his results, VP said LOL, LOL, long-term borrowing, other non-current liability, long-term provisions. Guddu decided to do CA and CS, and for that he did TOS. But you remember STOS. So S, short-term borrowing, T, trade payables, O, other current liabilities, S, short-term provisions. I hope everyone is clear up till here. Now we take up with the asset side. We have already seen in the chart in the beginning that there are two assets we have to write, mainly non-current assets and current assets. So non-current assets. Now, Guddu decided to do CA. His father is already advocate, lawyer, LLB. We have seen in the Mirzapur. So, for doing these courses, you need money. Tuition fees, registration fees, books, guidance, traveling, petrol. You need money for doing any of the good professional courses. So, he needs money for doing these courses. How will you remember the shortcut for non-current assets? For doing professional courses, Guddu has money from his parents. So you remember FNLO, finance law. FNLO means finance law. FNLO means finance law. So what shortcut will you remember for non-current assets? FNLO, finance law. F stands for fixed assets. Within fixed assets, we write three types of fixed assets: tangible, intangible, capital, work in progress. FNLO, finance law. N stands for non-current investments. L stands for long-term loans and advances. And O, come on, you can tell me now, what does O stand for? Other non-current assets. Now understand these items also in detail. Fixed assets, tangible. Since 11th standard, you have been studying land and building, plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, vehicles, motor car. All this will come in tangible fixed assets. We have to write them obviously after providing depreciation. Intangible fixed assets, you already know: goodwill, patents, trademarks, copyrights. Here, technical know-how, franchisee fees. These all will come in intangible fixed assets. You can write these examples if you don't remember. Now, what is capital work in progress? New term, understand it. Work in progress, you understand? Kaam chalu hai, work in progress. Okay. But here, work in progress means, kaam chalu hai means finished, semi-finished goods. One is finished goods, complete product. And work in progress means the making of product is started, but it is not completed. The work is in progress. So semi-finished goods. When we say capital work in progress, it means, for example, suppose you are constructing 3-storied building. Listen carefully. You are constructing 3-storied building. 2 floors are completed. 1 floor is still remaining to be completed. Okay. 2 floors are completed. 1 floor is still remaining to be completed. Now, since 2 floors are completed, but 1 floor is still remaining to be completed, can I say the work is in progress? And after it gets completed, building will become your fixed asset. This type of work in progress is called capital work in progress. In bracket right now, partly constructed fixed assets. Okay, capital work in progress means what? Write down in bracket, partly constructed fixed assets. We will not provide depreciation on them, because until the fixed asset is completely constructed and built and made, you cannot provide depreciation on them. So capital work in progress means partly constructed fixed assets, and on such fixed assets depreciation will not be provided. Okay, so FNLO, F stands for fixed assets. Which 3 fixed assets? Tangible, intangible, capital work in progress. N stands for non-current investments. Non-current investments, generally investments are non-current, means in your question if investments are given, take them non-current only, because we make investments always for long period of time. So investment in shares of other company, investment in debentures of other company, investment in government securities, provident fund investments, all these will come in the category of non-current investments. L, long-term loans and advances. So if our company has given loan to other companies, subsidiary companies, anyone else for a long period of time, that kind of loans and advances will come in long-term loans and advances. And other non-current assets. Okay. Now other non-current assets means, you can write in example in bracket, discount on debentures. They are fictitious assets. We have been studying in 11th, 12th standards of fictitious assets. They are expenses. They are not assets, but we show them on the asset side. they come in the category of other non-current assets. So discount on debentures, write down in bracket example, discount on debentures, underwriting commission, preliminary expenses, okay, discount on debentures, advertisement suspense, okay, research and development expenditures. All these are other non-current assets which are going to benefit the company for a long period of time. They are expenses, so instead of showing in expenses, we show them on the asset side. So all fictitious assets will be included in other non-current assets, but where the benefit is going to be for a long period of time. So once again, for the assets, for doing professional courses, Guddu needs money. He has money from his parents. So finance law, F and L. F, fixed assets. N, non-current investments. L, long-term loans and advances. O, other non-current assets. Within fixed assets, we have tangible, intangible, and capital work in progress. I hope you all are writing the examples also in bracket. You can rewind and write those examples if you don't remember. Let us proceed further with the things. If you are still writing, you can pause the video and write it down. Now, last part in the format of balance sheet will be current assets. Listen carefully now, current assets. Guddu became CA. He did toss, he did select CA and he became CA. CA stands for current assets, so that is the heading. CA stands for current assets, so that is our heading. He became CA. He completed CA. Guddu completed CA. CA stands for current assets. Now after completing CA, he became Commissioner of Income Tax. He completed CA and Guddu became Commissioner of Income Tax. Commissioner C, Income I, Tax T. You remember CIT is the shortcut. What is the full form that we will see when we write the items in current assets. But remember the story that Guddu became Chartered Accountant. After becoming Chartered Accountant, he got the job of Commissioner of Income Tax. Commissioner of Income Tax means, you remember, CIT. Then Guddu got that feeling of, Salman Khan. He had that feeling in one of the movies with Paresh Rawal. He made Paresh Rawal feel that he is the god. He is overpowered. He is superpowered. So Guddu also got that feeling that he became CA. He became Commissioner of Income Tax. Now he decided he will also do CS. He will also do CS, Company Secretary. He feels he can do that also. So he did CS. Next shortcut, CS. Okay. He became CA, current assets. He became Commissioner of Income Tax, CIT. Then he also did CS, Company Secretary. So CIT, CS are the shortcuts you'll remember, right? Then he suddenly found that his mother came, kicked on his back and said, Ut beta, wake up. Wake up from your dreams. Get ready and go to the class. This was all in his dreams. That he passed, Munna failed, Sweetie said lol, he did CA, became Commissioner of Income Tax, then he also did CS. And then suddenly mother kicked on his back and said, wake up from your dreams, go to the class, get ready. So last point you'll remember, O. So what are the things we'll remember for the shortcut of current assets? CIT, Commissioner of Income Tax, CS, and then O. CIT, CS, and O. These are the shortcuts you'll remember here. CIT, current investments. C, current investments. C stands for current investments. I, inventories. Inventories means stock. T, trade receivables. Again C, cash and cash equivalents. S, short-term loans and advances. And O, other current assets. O, other current assets. You already remember by now. Now understand what all these will include. Current investments means investments made for short period of time, like fixed deposits made with the bank, liquid funds purchased in mutual funds. So any of the investments, commercial paper, certificate of deposits, these all are for short period of time, treasury bills. So whichever investments you make for less than 1 year period of time, they will come in current investments. You can write these examples in bracket. Bank fixed deposits, mutual funds, liquid funds, certificate of deposits, commercial papers, treasury bills. However, in your questions, generally these things won't be given. Only investment word will be given. And if only investment word is given, we will take them in non-current investments. Only if the word investment is given, we will take them in non-current investments. So write these examples in bracket. Inventories means stock. Inventories means any kind of stock of the company, they'll write in inventories. Stock of raw materials, you can write these examples in bracket. Stock of raw materials, stock of work in progress, stock of finished goods, stock of stationery, stock of stamps, loose tools, stock of oil, consumable items, stores, spare parts, nut bolts, everything will come in inventories. Any kind of stock will come in inventories. You can write these examples in bracket. Raw material, work in progress, finished goods, loose tools, spare parts, cotton, oil, consumables, all these will come in inventories. Stationery stock, stamps stock, postal stamps, postage stock, advertisement stock, any stock will come in inventories. Okay. Trade receivables. What was trade payable? Creditors and bills payable. So trade receivables, write in bracket, debtors and bills receivable. Okay. Trade receivables will include debtors and bills receivables. Cash and cash equivalents will include cash in hand and cash at bank. In your examples, only these two things will be given: cash in hand and cash at bank. Otherwise, cash equivalents includes demand drafts, checks which we have received but not deposited in the bank. They are in our drawer. So dividend warrants, all these come in the category of cash equivalents, which are as good as cash. But here you'll have only two things in your practical examples: cash in hand and cash at bank. Short-term loans and advances, the loans and advances given for short period of time. So in bracket you can write advance income tax. Generally we pay advance tax every year. So advance tax will come in short-term loans and advances. Any loan or advance given to an employee, okay, against his salary, you give him 2-3 months salary in advance if he needs the money. So all these kind of loans and advances will come in short-term loans and advances. Other current assets will include, write down in bracket, outstanding income, prepaid expenses, okay, outstanding income, prepaid expenses, and क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. So whatever we have seen in the previous slide, in non-current assets, underwriting commission, discount on debentures, preliminary expenses, in the last year of their benefit, writing off, will write them in other current assets. So if suppose debentures are for 5 years, then debenture discount for 4 years will come in other non-current assets. In the 5th year, the same debenture discount will come in current assets, other current assets. Preliminary expenses, if we are going to write off over 7 years period, then for 6 years, preliminary expenses not written off will come in other non-current assets. But in the 7th year, it will come in other current assets. So, क्योंकि current भी कभी non-current था. All the other non-current assets items, all the other non-current assets item in the last year of their writing off, they will come in other current assets. Then we will have the total of balance sheet, and below the total of balance sheet, as a footnote, not as a part of balance sheet, as a footnote, we will write contingent liabilities and commitments. Okay, below the balance sheet as a footnote, we will write contingent liabilities and commitments. So entire format of balance sheet with Guddu and Munna story you will remember. Okay, once again let us take a recap of it fast. Guddu passed, Munna failed, he became senior. S, our share capital, reserves and surplus. Looking at his results, Sweetie said, lol, long-term borrowings, other non-current liabilities, long-term provisions. Guddu did toss to decide the courses, toss. Short-term borrowings, trade payables, other current liabilities and short-term provisions. Then non-current assets, for doing these courses, he needs money, finance law, FNLO. Fixed assets, non-current investment, long-term loans and advances, other non-current assets. Within fixed, tangible, intangible, capital work in progress. Then he became CA, current assets. He became Commissioner of Income Tax, CID, current investments, I, inventories, T, trade receivables. Then he did CS, C, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances. Then his mother said, put O, other current assets. Current liabilities, contingent liabilities and commitments, what do they include? Now let us understand them in detail. In your notebook, give the heading contingent liabilities and commitments, or else take out page number 11 of your study material. Okay, even if you don't write this in your notebook directly, take out page number 11 of study material, they are given over there. And in simple language, I'll make you write these things. These are Companies Act hardcore raw language, very difficult to understand. I'll make you write the things in simple language, you can write them in bracket. So page number 11 of your study material, you'll find point number T in that. What do you mean by the word contingent? Contingent means uncertain. So uncertain liability means we may have to pay the money, we may not have to pay the money. Contingent also means dependent. The liabilities payment is dependent on the happening or non-happening of some event. So what do you mean by contingent liabilities? Uncertain dependent liabilities. Underline the word contingent and write down above that. Underline the word contingent and write down above that. Uncertain dependent liabilities. Okay, above contingent write down uncertain dependent liabilities. What do you mean by uncertain dependent liabilities? We may have to pay the money or we may not have to pay the money. It is our commitment. Commitments are also included here. And the payment of liability is dependent on the happening or non-happening of some event. For example, see here. Contingent liabilities shall be classified as claims against the company not acknowledged as debts. Oh my god, so heavy language. Is it or not? Claims against the company not acknowledged as debts. What do you mean by that in simple language? Write down in bracket. Suits pending in the court of law. What do you mean by suits? Cases, court cases pending in the court of law. Now, for example, worker of the company has filed a case against the company, suit against the company for compensation, and it is disputed under Industrial Disputes Act. So the case is pending in the court of law. Now, if I ask you a question, when does the company or when do the company have to pay that compensation to the worker? I repeat, when do the company have to pay that compensation to the worker? Only if the judgment comes in his favor in future. Company loses the case in the court of law. So is it a certain liability? No, it's an uncertain liability. We may have to pay the money, we may not have to pay the money. Is it dependent on the happening of an event? Yes. It is dependent on the happening of which event? The judgment comes in the favor of worker. So this is a contingent liability. But words are very heavy. You write this in simple language. See, now you understand that language. Claims against the company. Worker has made a claim against the company. Not acknowledged means not accepted as debt. It is not accepted as our liability yet because the decision is pending in the court of law. Now you understand this? So in simple language, write down this in brackets. Suits pending in the court of law. Guarantees. Guarantees are understandable. Suppose our company has given a guarantee on behalf of our subsidiary company who has borrowed loan from the bank for 20 years. Now subsidiary company has borrowed loan from the bank for 20 years and we have given the guarantee. So we may have to pay that money after 20 years, but only if the subsidiary company does not repay. So is it a certain liability? No, this is also uncertain liability. And it is dependent on the happening of which event? The other company not paying the money, then only we are supposed to pay that money. So it is dependent on the happening of that event that the other company does not pay the money. So even guarantee is a contingent liability. Any other money for which the company is contingently liable. Write down example for this also. Bills discounted with the bank maturing after balance sheet date. Understand it this example. Bill discounted with the bank means we discount the bill with the bank and take the money in advance from the bank. We discount the bill with the bank and take the money in advance from the bank. Now suppose 1st March you have accepted 3 months bill. What will be the maturity date of that bill? 1st March plus 3 months, April, May, June, 1st June. What will be the maturity date of that bill? 1st June. Wrong! Add 3 days of grace also. Forgot that na? Add 3 days of grace also. So 1st March plus 3 months plus 3 days of grace. 4th June will be the maturity date. But we have to make final accounts on 31st March. Means the bill is going to mature in the next year. We have taken the money in advance from the bank. Now the question is, what if on 4th of June the bill gets dishonored? Our debtor does not pay the money on 4th June. What will the bank do? Bank will take the money from us. Bank does not know who is our debtor. Bank is a third party. The transaction of getting the money in advance for the bill was between bank and us. And bank will not even inform us if we are having sufficient bank balance. The day the bill gets dishonored, bank will immediately take the money from our account. So if bill is discounted with the bank, when is it going to become our liability in future to pay it back to the bank? Only if the bill gets dishonored on maturity date. So this is also contingent liability, uncertain liability. We may have to pay the money, we may not have to pay the money, dependent on what? Whether bill is matured in future is honored, bill matured in future is honored or dishonored. Okay, so write down this example for other money for which the company is contingently liable, like bill discounted with the bank maturing after balance sheet date. Now commitments shall be classified. Commitment, you remember that Salman Khan एक बार commitment कर दी तो अपन अपने आपकी भी नहीं सुनता. That kind of commitment. Once we do a commitment, we have to follow that. And if we don't follow that commitment, it becomes our liability to compensate the other party for not fulfilling our commitments. So that is also a kind of contingent liability. See, estimated amount of contracts remaining to be executed on capital account and not provided for. In bracket, write incomplete long-term contracts. Now understand this. Suppose we have made a long-term contract with our customer to supply him goods for the next 5 long years. We have made a long-term contract with our customer to supply him goods for the next 5 long years. 2 years have passed. Right now we are in the 3rd year. 3 years are remaining. 2 years have passed. Right now we are in the 3rd year. 3 years are remaining. Now this 3 years we have to fulfill our commitment and supply the goods. What if we don't fulfill our commitment? Then it becomes our liability. We have to compensate our customer for the same. So this kind of commitment is also a part of contingent liability. Now let's see that language. Estimated amount of contracts remaining to be executed. 3 years contract is remaining to be executed. Underline on capital account. I repeat, underline on capital account and write long term. Capital means long term. Okay. So estimated amount of contracts remaining to be executed on long term and not provided for. In short, incomplete long term contracts. Next, uncalled liability on shares and other investments partly paid. Now, if our company has purchased shares and debentures of other companies, we know that shares and debentures money is called in installments, application, allotment, first call, final call. We have invested the money in shares of another company who has not made final call yet. The other company has not asked the final call money. When are we supposed to pay that final call money? Only if the other company asks that money, provided we don't sell it in the stock market before that. So this is also an uncertain liability, because right now the company has not asked final call money, and maybe tomorrow we sell that investments in the stock market, then we don't have to pay that money only. The other shareholder will pay that money to the company, the remaining final call. So this is also our contingent liability, but it is our commitment also. We have to pay that money if the company asks for. Okay, but right now it's not our liability, because there are chances that we sell that investments before the company asks that money. So uncalled liability on shares and other investments partly paid. In bracket you can write uncalled allotment and final call money. Okay, these are uncalled allotment and final call money. And any other commitments, you have to specify the nature. So I hope everyone is clear what will come in contingent liabilities and commitments. Now why these are important? Because in your questions they will be a part of your adjustments. Contingent liabilities and commitments will be a part of your adjustments, but we don't have to give two effects. We have to just write them as footnote below the balance sheet. As we have seen in the format, we just have to write these items as footnote below the balance sheet. So you need to remember which are the items of contingent liabilities and commitment. You must be able to distinguish when it comes in the question that it is not an adjustment requiring two effect, but it is a contingent liability which will come below the balance sheet as a footnote. Okay. Now, we have already seen with the format of balance sheet. Now we see the format of profit and loss statement. Okay, but before we see the format of profit and loss statement, I'll tell you that we have already studied this format. I repeat, we have already studied this format, so I'm not going to explain in detail. Where did we study this format? In the last semester, you studied the chapter of profit prior to incorporation. I repeat, in the last semester, you all studied the format of profit prior to incorporation. Same format we studied, in fact, lesser columns are to be made. There we used to make the column of basis of allocation, total, pre-incorporation, post-incorporation period. Here you just have to make note number, amount, that's it. And if you remember, we used to make the notes also. Revenue from operations, finance cost, other expenses, administration, selling, miscellaneous. Do you all recollect this? Same format. Same format. It is as per part 2 of schedule 3. I told you, schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013, part 1 discusses balance sheet. Therefore, we discuss the format of balance sheet first. Part 2 discusses profit and loss statement. So, as per part 2 of schedule 3, we are going to discuss profit and loss statement. But since we have already studied in the previous semester, all of you pause the video and directly write this format. Pause the video and directly write this format. Particulars, note number, amount and amount. Okay, you all must remember this. We exactly same thing we studied in the last semester. And you have it in your notebooks also. You can see in your notebooks. Profit prior to incorporation chapter, you have this format already ready with you. What format? Revenue from operations and other incomes, only two incomes, total incomes. Expenses, cost of material consumed, direct purchase of stock in trade, change in inventories, employees benefit expense, finance cost, depreciation and amortization expense. Within other expenses, we had administrative, selling and miscellaneous total expenses, profit before tax, tax and profit after tax. So pause the video and write down this format. I'll discuss in brief once again, so all of you pause the video and first write the format, then we discuss in detail. And then here also, if you all remember, I don't know whether you remember or not, but expenses are many in number. I have given you a shortcut to remember expenses also. Okay, let's see how many of you remember that. I have given you a shortcut for expenses also. I hope all of you would have paused the video and written this format. Now listen everyone, only two incomes, so no shortcut for incomes. Revenue from operations and other incomes. What will revenue from operations include? In bracket write sales, that is only income. Sales minus sales return will come in revenue from operations after deducting sales return. Other incomes will include share transfer fees, discount received, commission received, interest on investments, rent received. All other incomes will come in other incomes, profit on sale of asset. You get total incomes. Only two incomes, revenue from operation, that is sales income, and other incomes. Now for expenses, I gave you this shortcut. If you all remember, C, D, E, F, do. You all remember this? Come on, you remember this? Profit prior to incorporation, same thing we have studied. C, D, E, F, do. C stands for cost of material consumed. How do you find cost of material consumed? Raw material. Opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock. Opening stock of raw material plus purchase of raw material minus closing stock. D stands for direct purchase of stock in trade. Manufacturing companies will have raw material consumed and trading companies will directly purchase the stock in trade, finished goods. So first item, cost of material consumed will be there in case of manufacturing companies. Second item, direct purchase of stock in trade will be there in case of trading companies. They directly buy the finished goods and sell the finished goods. Again, C will stand for, first item C will stand for change in inventories. Change in inventories in bracket write opening stock minus closing stock. We studied this in profit prior to incorporation also, right? Opening stock minus closing stock. Now which opening stock minus closing stock? Right? Work in progress and finished goods, because raw material comes in cost of material consumed. Okay, raw materials opening and closing stock comes in cost of material consumed. Opening plus purchase minus closing. So which change in inventories will come in change in inventories or change in stock? Opening and minus closing. Finished goods and work in progress. Work in progress opening minus closing stock will come in change in inventories. Finished goods opening minus closing stock will come in change in inventories. Employees benefit expenses, right? Salaries, wages, bonus, contribution to PF. Salaries, wages, bonus, contribution to PF. Finance cost, interest on debentures, interest on loans, all the kind of interest expenses will come in finance cost. Depreciation and amortization. Depreciation, you understand. About amortization, right? W/O, written off. So anything which is written off, discount on debentures written off, underwriting commission written off, preliminary expenses written off, goodwill written off, anything written off will come in amortization expenses. Within other expenses, administrative. Within administrative, directors fees, audit fees, printing and stationery, postage and telegram, selling expense, advertisement, carriage outward, commission allowed, discount allowed, miscellaneous expense, all other expenses. Okay, that trading account expenses also, carriage inward, royalty, all the other expenses will come in miscellaneous expenses, which cannot fall in any of the above categories. You get total expenses, then third item income minus fourth item expenses, we will get profit before tax, then sixth item tax, profit before tax minus tax will get profit after tax. One more concept is to be understood, statement of retained earnings, but that will take in further lectures. So in today's format, I hope everyone is clear with the items of balance sheet and profit and loss statement. Write these format in your notebooks one more time without seeing, because entire chapter will have 15 marks long question, and without seeing you must be primarily able to first remember the formats itself. In next question, we will start with the practical. In next lecture, we will start with the practical questions. So that will be all for this lecture. Bye everyone. Take care. See you in the next lecture.